Hello, this is Lena's Needlecraft, and thank you for joining me today. Hack number 1 is about crocheting in the back ridge. You see the back ridge? This is good for garments, and they usually tell you to chain one first and then go into the back because that's outside of the main, they call that, if you chain one, because it won't mess up your pattern when you start to seam it together. So let's go ahead and do a single crochet. Now if you chain and you skip the first one and the chain equals your stitch, that's called inside the main. Just so you know, for your information. But we're going to go ahead and do that. This is very neat and it's really good for garments and things like that. So let's go ahead. You go into the back chain. And that's how we do it. Okay. See that? And then it's very neat, and the bottom looks just like the top. See the bottom? And then the top, this looks the same. Hi, if you're a left-hand knitter, you want to get this book, Encyclopedia of Crochet by Donna Kooler, K-O-O-L-E-R-S. It's a 2002. You can get it on Amazon at the link below. It shows 164 stitches, and if you open it, you'll see if you're right-handed, it's this column, and if you're left-handed, it's this column. You see? Left, right. And it just goes on and on. And it's very well illustrated. And you can see that's the right hand, that's the left hand. And it talks about all kinds of little hints and things, and it goes over your crochet stitches, and it's very, very well illustrated. So get this book, the link's below, and you can get used copies as well, but as you can see, right and left. So if you're a left-hand crocheter, this is the book for you. And then it has some patterns, and it talks about color, yarn, thread, bead, wire, tunisan, tapestry, lace, and medallions. So this is really a good book. Okay, let's get to our next one. Now, reverse crochet. A lot of people are confused about reverse crochet. You think you have to go back this way and bring it up, and it's kind of hard to do. And then you go like, it's hard to do. But there's an easy way of doing it. And the way I do it is, let me get this stitch right. It's also kind of called a crab stitch, but crab stitch, they kind of overlap the threads cross. But, it's a cord stitch too, it's called. But let's say we want to do a reverse crochet. You keep your thread in the front, you go through the back of the stitch, you bring it through, and then like that. You keep your thread in the front, you bring it through the back, you put your thread over, got two on the loop, you thread in the front, you bring it through the back, twist your needle, bring your thread up, and that's a reverse crochet. See? And you can get, you get faster as you go and practice. Bring your thread up, go through the center, from the back, bring your thread through, and then go under and over. And that's a reverse crochet. And that's the way it looks from the front, from the other side. See? If you liked my video, please hit the like button and let me know what you thought about it, and hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Hack number 4. I keep my needles in these zippered holders, and I tie one for my hooks, and I keep them in a spool cabinet along with other hooks that aren't in the zippered holders. I keep sets in my zipper holders, and you can use a makeup holder if you only have a few hooks, and the plastic makeup holders, and that works well too if you only have a few needles. So that's hack number 4. Hack number 5. The experts say you should keep your yarn in see-through plastic containers. If you need to display your yarn, and I don't blame you, it's so pretty and looks really nice, but you need to protect it. So go ahead and display it, but be sure to use some herbs that are the leading herbs are lavender and cedar chips bags, and the top 2. And you know, they repel moths, and you put them around your yarn, and you can get them. There's a link below for Amazon, and you can buy them. And I think you get about 20 bags. So be sure to order them. If you already suspect bugs, put your yarn in the freezer for 3 days. Do not store your yarn in a damp basement or a hot attic or in the same sunlight. Don't put your yarn in a basket on a rug. They claim that's bad too. You know, you can store your yarn in closets, like in shoe hanging bags, or if you're low on space, vacuum bags are good too. You know, they say like 12 skeins will fit in a large vacuum bag. You know, and check your yarn every 6 months to a year to make sure you don't have bugs in them, you know, and test it. Okay, that's it for storing your yarn. When working in the round, or even if you're working a stitch, you see how the stitch is sort of in the middle and you got like a right and a left? And, you know, it's kind of hard to decide which stitch to work in. So keep the letter P in mind, you know, down and then a P. And always work on the right-hand side of the stitch if you're in doubt. And that will keep your work even and you'll be doing it right. So, you know, that's just how I do it. And, you know, most people do it that way. And you see, keeps your stitches, like if it says skip a couple or do a double crochet and then you do one in the next one, sometimes it's hard to remember where it's at. But just keep to the letter right, P, of the stitch. Okay. Hello, I would like to tell you a story about my granddaughter. We were all sitting in the living room and she was sitting on her mother's lap. And she said, "Mom, what's poking me? Something's poking me." And her mother said, "Well, that's your little sister. She's busy baking right now, but when she's done, you get to meet her. She'll come out and you'll get to meet her." And my granddaughter, she pursed her lips together and she got real close to her stomach and she goes, "Bring cake, okay?" Anyway, I wanted to share that tidbit with you. Hack number 7. I set goals for my projects. Like I try to make something for this month's guild meeting. Every month we have a guild meeting, a chemo hat or a doll for my grandchild or something. Join a guild group. Mine is 20 minutes drive time, but you meet interesting people and you have interesting speakers. We had a milliner not long ago who had her hats in the Kentucky Derby Museum. She was so interesting. It's a real shot in the arm, and it keeps you motivated, and you also learn the latest trends, the yarns, new techniques. Usually we have someone who owns a yarn shop that's there, and she tells us the latest things. Like, you know, different things have yarn of the year, and I think a light green was one yarn of the year, like 2022. Last year it was blue, and this year it's kind of like a lavender. But then Interweave had their yarn of the year was golden something, yellow. So, it's different. And sometimes they have contests where they use that. You incorporate the color in a project. So, it's kind of nice. You might want to enter one. Okay. Hack number 8. I don't use knots in the middle of my work. They just are bulky. By the time you knot something, you could have started at the side and put it in. And, I weave my ends. Usually I do a slip knot. I just I tie it around. I just take the knot and I tie it around like this. And I just do one little knot like that, and then I slip it up, and that holds the yarn in place. Even if you're joining colors in the middle of a piece, I'll tie my yarn like that. And then at the end, after I've done it, you can see it holds it in place. You can tie it you can pull it tight. And then I go up, and then I just, go ahead and do my crochet. And then when I'm done, you can take the knot out. and then weave your ends in. And that's what I do. You know, you just take your knot out. You know, it'll come out. You can take it out, and then you weave your ends in. And that makes your piece looks polished, and I just like it better. You know, and any leftover thread you have, or you know, you should be able to do that. I don't like knots in the middle of my work, any kind of work. I don't use it in embroidery. I don't use it in weaving or knitting. I just do it at the end, and then I start. And a lot of times it's hidden when if you're seaming or weaving stuff in, it's hidden, or you weave it in. Okay, and that's hack number 8. Okay, hack number 9 is tools of the trade. As you know, I keep my needles in a little container, you know, sometimes pill containers. I like these. You can find little containers different places. Sometimes in the store they have needle containers, you know, and then ring containers. I keep my stuff on a rings, little circles and things. And then I keep, you know, like the scissors. I keep the little ends on the scissors. And then your markers, you know, and I keep them all in a little pouch or something, a little zipper bag that I have. And then you've got your counter. You can put it on a crochet needle or just use it on the side if you like to count that way. So, you know, and on a plastic, if you're using plastic tape measures, you should check them once a year against a ruler to make sure they haven't stretched, because plastic has a tendency to stretch a little bit, and it might get your gauge off a little bit, especially if you're being real particular about the gauge like a baby's dress. Okay, that's hack number 9, and you know, it's nice to know. There's a couple of ways that we can do a slip knot. I usually like to cross over and then go under, and then bring my needle up, and that's how I like to do a slip knot. Let's do that again. I like to cross over and then bring it under, and then bring my needle through, and that makes a nice slip knot. Then you can tighten it. And there's another way. You can go over your fingers, do like an X, and then just go under, and you know, it makes a slip knot. Sort of like a magic ring in a way. You just go over your fingers, you do an X, bring that under, and then just pull it tight. See? And you're done. Thank you. If you want to study color, you know, I study colors. I check Missouri Fish and Game, you know, nature, calendars, you know. You can do yarn comparisons, yarnsub.com, and then Ravelry has a word, you know, Ravelry, WPI, the gauge table, and it tells you about, you know, how much wraps on a 1-inch ruler, what your gauge is, you know, and trending color palette, you know, you can do that too. Look at Pinterest. A lot of times they have colors they put together that are really beautiful, you know, so, you know, check around, and, you know, gives you some ideas of colors you might want to put together, and it helps your creative processes. Okay, this is number 11. So, you know, do that and you'll be glad you did. Hack number 12 is chaining. Count your chains as you go, especially if you're doing a lot, like every 25 chains, 25, 50, 75, 100. You see how I'm doing that? Now this was made with thread that was kinky, and you can see how that does. Whereas this was made with smooth thread. And you can see it's a big difference than the kinky thread. That's why I don't use kinky thread, as I mentioned in my hack and in the other show I did, the other video. And you can see the difference. This was made with relaxed thread. But you know, put a marker every 25 stitches, and that'll help you keep track of your chaining, how many stitches you have. Okay. Be sure to give me a like and hit the subscribe button and write a comment and let me know what you think of it. Thank you. This is Lena's Needlecrafts, and I'll be talking to you later. Bye-bye for now.